Hello, this is Matt from Matt-N-Nae Comics, the author of The Adventures of Matt-N-Nae. Welcome to what is the first of hopefully many video blogs. I say video blogs, I refuse to use vlog. It sounds like some freaky alien race. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to run through a little introduction. A lot of you, the readers, may not know exactly who I am, what I do, and where I'm from. So we'll go over a little bit of that, and I'll answer some of the questions that have been submitted. So we'll start off with the introduction. Like I said, I am Matt. I am the writer and editor for a weekly webcomic called The Adventures of Matt-N-Nae, which is done with my wife, Renee. One of the main things a lot of people have asked me in the past was, why do I do a weekly webcomic? What's the point? The point for this is partially it's creative practice. It's an outlet. That's something that my wife and I had been looking for a while, is a joint creative outlet that we could use. She's an illustrator. She does a lot of fantastic graphic work, and I, as a writer, hadn't really found a good outlet. So we worked together, came up with this idea of a weekly webcomic. We do it. We don't make any money off of it, and a lot of people are asking, why do I do it if I don't make money? Part of that is it's important to have a presence. If your plan for the future involves joining a comic book company or producing your own works, you need to have some sort of presence. And the best way to start is something where it's non-profit, it's just a little fun thing, but it's a great exercise. And you've kind of seen how the comic has grown over the past 2 years. It's important to me that the comic has grown. We've had 2 years of work so far, and it's been fantastic. And it's amazing to me, especially in this past week, that we've had no day fell below 300 views, which is not normal for our comic, and I think it helps that we've had this voting campaign at topwebcomics.com pick up. So we're up in I think we're 120th right now, ranked, which we've never been able to do before. But then again, we weren't really asking for votes before, we were just waiting for them to come in. One of the main goals that Renee and I have with this project, the webcomic, is to get our own comic book works published at some point. We both have found that we have ideas for graphic novels or comic books that we want to get produced and done, and a great start, according to a lot of the creators that we've talked to, is to work on your own things. So that's what we're doing with this webcomic. Go to Sarah Jacobs' question. Sarah Jacobs is a good friend of ours, childhood friend of Renee's, and a very close friend of us as a couple. She asked what process I use to decide what stories I want to tell. The creative process for the Matt-N-Nae comics is fairly simple, especially in the beginning. In the beginning, it was basically, oh, you remember that time where we did this really funny thing, and we laughed and laughed. What was that about again? Oh, yeah. And it was you always claiming that you're evil, and your birthday is the day of your creation of this horrible creature. The first comic was almost word for word a conversation we've had, and a lot of the comics since then have been that sort of just straight from our lives to the page. The changes that I've made now, there's actually a process now. I will have an idea of where we're going to go with the comic, and we'll start like blocking out when certain things are going to happen. Right now we're dealing with the initial stages of it, but I have an outline for the next maybe year and a half of comics. Just a general broad outline of some of the highlighting points that we need to hit. And then Renee and I will talk a few things out. Most of the time it'll be me coming to her with the general outline, and then kind of drilling down and making each day's comic. I'll run it by her to see if she feels that's a good place to go, if it's the right way to bring the direction of the comic. And then I'll move on to scripting, which then historically I would just write out panel 1, this is happening, and then kind of script it all out with quotation marks per character, that kind of thing. And I've developed a different writing style now that helps her with her side of things with lettering, because before she would have to edit a lot of what I submitted for her to use so that she could just use the words, and I made it an easier process for her. The stories themselves originally, like I said, were very slice of life, just kind of, this is something that funny that happened. And I would often try to keep things a little topical to our lives currently, because most of our readers were, and still a lot of our readers are, very close friends and family. And so with that in mind, I tried to keep them up to date with what was going on in our lives, while also keeping it very, very family friendly. And that was something that changed after 2 years. We decided that we needed to move a little bit further away from trying to keep it so subdued. Our lives, they are family friendly to a point, but there's just, we're going to bring in a little bit more of our attitude and the words we use. I mean, we're adults, we use some colorful language, and we're going to bring a little bit more of that in to add some tone to the comic, make it a little less kitschy and cute. So I hope that answers your question, Sarah. Another question that has come up when discussing the Adventures of Matt-N-Nae and what we're doing is what our vision is for the comic and what we see happening in the future as a couple, as a creative outlet, as the Adventures of Matt-N-Nae, as Matt-N-Nae Comics. Whatever the case is, a lot of people want to know where we're going with this. And we have, I think, 4 major works that we want to get published. 1 or 2 of them are one-shot comic books or graphic novels. We have 2 kind of world-building, overarching creative works that we have. The comic is meant to be a creative outlet, a way to get our name out there, and just entertainment for us. We both read a lot of webcomics. We both are in the community, and this was our way of kind of interacting with that community and bringing light to the unique life that we lead. The other projects that we have in mind are definitely something that are going to take a couple years to develop, and they're going to be submitted to larger companies. None of them are really going to be self-publishing works. We will have some interaction with our fan base and submit maybe previews or some backstory and character panels, stuff like that, so that there is a digital presence and sort of a communication with our fan base about the projects that we're still working on. And we plan on continuing the Adventures of Matt-N-Nae into the near future, really until we can't anymore, and I don't see that happening for a long time. One of the most important things we have coming up soon, hopefully, since it has been 2 years and we have over 100 comics now, we plan on putting together kind of an annotated collection of our first 100 comics. Part of the delay on that is we've looked back at the first comics, and Renee is very unhappy with, well, she's happy with the first comics, but she's grown artistically since then. As you can see, if you compare the first comic to any of the more recent comics, there's a big difference in the art style. And so what she's thinking of doing is updating the art style to match the current, which will take a little bit more time. Plus, we need to figure out what kind of annotations we're going to include in the comics when we put it together. And once we get the book put together, we'd have it published and out for sale to friends and family, fan bases. Depending on where we post it, hopefully we would have worldwide reach for our annotated collection of the first 100 comics. That, and we're trying to figure out some merchandise items. There is ways that you, the viewers, can help. If you have some ideas for merchandise, what you'd like to see on a t-shirt, maybe some suggestions on what would be good. We have the buttons for the Evil Nation, and we're working on putting together kind of a storefront for that once we develop a few more merchandise items. That is also part of the future of the Adventures of Matt-N-Nae, is we're trying to find a way to make it a little more viable to continue doing this. We both work. Renee works a full-time job and works on the comic as well as her freelance work. I have college, I have my job, and I have the reserve as well. I serve in the Army Reserve 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, and some people have noticed that in the comic the goatee is always there, and that's because Renee made a decision early on that the goatee helped identify my character. Especially with the earlier art style, it's very much true. It holds true for the early art style and through to today. So even when the character Matt is in uniform, he still has that goatee to identify. That's really all I have for this first video blog. What I hope for the next one next week is I hope to get a few more questions from you guys. You can post your questions on our Facebook page, on the YouTube comments, or in the blog comments on the website. Whichever way you post your questions, I will address them as they come in. It might take me, if we get a lot of questions, it might take me more than one video to get to them, but I will write them down and give them a good response. I also plan on developing a better recording space. I have friends in town who are willing to let me borrow their own recording space, so I don't have Henry Cavill standing over my shoulder the whole recording, and just kind of creepy. If you have any questions that you'd like me to address, put them in the comments below. I will definitely give them the full extent of my time. If you have any suggestions maybe for merchandise, something you'd like to see on a t-shirt, anything like that, go ahead and post it in the comments as well. The main reason I'm doing these video blogs is to try and interact more with you, the audience. And I felt that a video is a little less impersonal than a just typed up blog. There will be a monthly blog as well that I will be typing up, and that'll be more of a creative spotlight on the people that I know who are creators, authors, illustrators, various other projects that people work on that I know. I feel it's important with how supportive everybody around me has been of our comic that I give back. And so I want to highlight, every month, I want to highlight somebody new, somebody creative, somebody who's got a project that I find very cool or interesting and that I know personally, so that I'm sort of spreading the love and getting them out there. So thank you for your time. Thank you for watching this video. So if you want to see more video blogs, comment, subscribe, click like on the video. You can also help out by going to topwebcomics.com and voting for the Adventures of Matt-N-Nae. Help keep us up above 200. And thank you for watching. Bye.